So here's the thing. Before I even show you the house, I want to show you what might actually be one of the most useful parts of this property. This is the permitted 960 square foot detached workshop. My setters finished the interior with flooring, a ceiling, and split-zone air conditioning. And what somebody does with another nearly 1,000 square feet of space is really up to them. Workshop, home office, studio, gym, ridiculous amounts of storage. And I think the space actually gives you a pretty good clue about who this property might work for, because you probably don't accidentally end up living in Oʻokala. Oʻokala is one of these small communities along the Hāmākua coast that you can drive past 100 times without really knowing what's back there. And if your life requires you to commute to Hilo, Kona, or Waimea every single day, this probably isn't the first place I tell you to look. But if you work remotely, you're retired, or you're specifically looking to be outside of town, then this starts to make a lot more sense. And so does this house. It was built in 1924, which sounds a little scary until you actually walk inside. Because while the age and character are still here, this isn't a house that has just been sitting untouched for 100 years. A previous owner who was also a contractor completed an extensive renovation around 2015 and 16. And instead of trying to make the house feel brand new, a lot of the work seemed to have been about improving what was already here. The original single-wall construction was sandwiched with furniture-grade, knot-free cedar. Acacia hardwood flooring was added, and the electrical and plumbing were both updated. One thing that's easy to forget when you're looking at a pretty house is the boring stuff that actually matter when you live somewhere. There's indoor laundry, the property's on county water rather than catchment, but there's still reverse osmosis filtered water at the kitchen sink and refrigerator. There's a large propane tank servicing the gas range and electric water heater. Not necessarily exciting YouTube content, but very exciting adult homeownership content. And this is another reason I keep coming back to the idea of someone who works from home. You've got a bedroom that's currently being used more like an office, with its own access out to the lanai. Combine that with the detached workshop we started in, and there are lots of ways you can separate where you live from and where you work without leaving the property. The primary bedroom has its own lanai as well, and then the bathroom is one of those places where you really notice how much thought went into the renovation. Dual vanities, a walk-in shower with 2 shower heads, and a 60-inch soaking tub. Again, not exactly what most people picture when I tell them we're touring a house built in 1924. And this room might be my favorite example of somebody actually thinking about how space gets used. There's a Murphy bed, so the room doesn't have to function as a bedroom all the time, plus the built-in sewing table that collapses away when you're finished with it. Little things, but smart things. And then we come back outside. This partial wraparound lanai is one of the places where the older character of the house really starts to show again. Underneath the house is a surprising amount of additional storage. You'll also see the electrical equipment and the system for the home's 15 photovoltaic panels. The PV lease still has about 9 years remaining, but it's been already prepaid, so there aren't any monthly lease payments remaining for the current owner. And this is one of those things that I actually like showing in a real home tour. It's not pretty, but if you're seriously considering an older home in Hawaii, what's happening underneath it can matter a whole lot more than whatever furniture somebody put in the living room. And And now we get to something that's actually been one of the biggest points of feedback on this property. The lot is just over 15,000 square feet. For somebody moving to the Big Island dreaming about 3 or 5 acres, that's probably going to feel small. But acreage comes with acreage maintenance. My clients work from home, and having enough outdoor space to garden and enjoy without spending every weekend maintaining a huge property was actually part of the appeal. The backyard is fenced, and as you head up through the terraced garden, you get what I generously call a peep ocean view. An emphasis on the peep. You've also got a 1-car carport and mature lemon and lime trees, and apparently, we now have a baby calamansi joining the property. This house has been on the market for a while, and sometimes when it happens, I think the instinct is to keep finding more features to talk about. But I'm not sure that's what this one needs. This isn't going to make sense for everybody. Oʻokala is a very rural place. The lot isn't acreage, and the house is more than 100 years old. But for somebody who doesn't need to commute every day, wants manageable outdoor space, could actually use a huge workshop, and appreciates an older Hawaiʻi home where a lot of the hard work has already been done, those same things start looking very different. Maybe this house doesn't need everybody to love it. It just needs the right person to understand why somebody else did.